Welcome, students. I'm Mrs. Smith, and you're watching TAP, the Art Project. The artist I'd like to share with you today is Lygia Clark, neoconcretist and art therapist. You might be wondering, what's a neoconcretist? Neoconcretists were not artists who made art out of concrete. Nope, concrete artists were into making abstract art that evoked emotion through shapes, lines, and color. Let's get started. Lygia Clark was born in 1920 in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. At the age of 18, she married a civil engineer. Together, they moved to Rio de Janeiro and started a family. Clark struggled with all the responsibilities that come with being a stay-at-home mom. She needed to find her purpose, that special thing that was just her own. Clark had always loved art. Taking an art class seemed like a reasonable place to start, so that's just what she did. In 1947, Lygia Clark trained with landscape designer and architect Roberto Burle Marx and sculptor Zélia Salgado, both key figures in Brazilian modernism. In 1950, her passion for art and interest in European painters inspired Clark to move, with her children, to Paris, France. Under the guidance of a few well-known artists, Lygia Clark spent the following 2 years studying oil painting. In 1953, Clark returned to Brazil and began her career as an artist. In Brazil, Lygia Clark became one of the founding members of Grupo Frente, a group of artists who rejected the popular painting styles of Brazil. How is Clark's work during this period different from traditional Brazilian art? How is it the same? These paintings are a part of a series by Clark titled Planes and Modulated Surface. Her work from the series seems playful to me, like puzzles. What do you think? In 1960, Clark moved away from the canvas, starting with bichos or critters. Critters were interactive works of art meant to be folded and manipulated by us, the viewer. Inspired by the idea of interactive art, Clark began to explore action prompted by the artist as art itself. In 1964, using everyday materials, Clark introduced nostalgia of the body. It was art meant to be experienced through participation. In Dialogue of Hands, the participants are bound together at the wrist. How do you think this experience felt to the participants? In The I and the You, Clark explored human interaction. In Abysmal Mask, the artist explores the feeling of solitude. Lygia Clark said, "What's important is the act of doing in the present. The artist is dissolved into the world." After a highly successful career, Clark began to focus solely on art as therapy. It is not an artwork, but rather the moment of the act of feeling that is important. Nothing more, she said. Lygia Clark was a revolutionary artist. Not only did she bravely remain true to herself throughout her entire career, but she was a pioneer in her exploration of mental health through art.